Traffic is still backed up in Texas as a result of Governor Greg Abbott's policy to inspect every truck coming across the border. The governor saying tonight those inspections will continue ahead of what is going to be a surge of migrants crossing the border when Title 42 lifts. Joining us now with more on the situation in Texas and on the border is our correspondent, Robert Sherman. Robert, you've been down there seeing it firsthand and these hours-long backup of these semi-trucks carrying all these goods. You and I talked earlier about the non-perishables on there. I mean, this is just truck after truck being stalled for a long time. What's the latest on the situation? And Abbott spoke on it tonight. Did he offer any hope that things are going to get moving soon?
Well, when you read between the lines, yes, Marnie, because we did see another meeting with another Mexican governor today. This time it was the governor of Chihuahua. And for those who aren't aware, Chihuahua is where the city of Juarez is. That's right across from El Paso. And a deal has been cut. So things, as Governor Abbott said, the situation will effectively be returning to normal. Those checks done by Texas DPS will no longer be happening. So now you have that in both the El Paso area and the Laredo area. Still, the expectation is that Governor Abbott will be meeting with Mexican governors representing the Del Rio, Eagle Pass, the McAllen areas at some point, those Mexican governors. His message today, though, was those governors need to cut a deal or nothing's going to change. Listen to this.
Until those agreements can be achieved, however, the Texas Department of Public Safety will continue to thoroughly inspect all commercial vehicles entering into the United States or into the state of Texas from every Mexican state except Nuevo Leon and Chihuahua.
And so that is the situation on the ground here. More deals must be cut in order for the situation to completely go back to normal, but progress is being made. Marnie?
Robert, when Title 42 expires, many are anticipating that the surge of migrants crossing the border could be upwards of 450,000 a month. I mean, something like we have not seen. You spoke to people who live down there. This is affecting their livelihoods. It could get much, much worse. What is the sentiment? What is their biggest concerns?
Well, you have to remember a lot of these border towns, they're a far cry from being a metropolis. Many of them are small little communities, couple hundred people, couple thousand people. They don't have the infrastructure to handle anything like that. And that is the concern, is that a lot of these small towns and a lot of these communities here in Texas are going to be overwhelmed. So people are bracing for impact as to what they're going to see. This impacts everyday people. You know, it impacts the school system. It impacts how many people need to take goods from the utilities. It impacts how many people are going to the grocery stores and things like that. Communities are set up for a certain population level that could drastically change after May 23rd.
You're right about that. Robert Sherman, the situation could get much, much worse in the next 3 to 4 weeks as we see 42 lift. And not just the people on the border, but all across the country are going to be feeling the impacts. Robert, we'll be checking back in with you as you continue to cover this story. Thank you. I want to stay in Texas. Border Patrol is busing migrants to communities throughout the state right now. We want to share some photos with you of migrant camps from just outside of Uvalde, Texas. It's about an hour and a half from San Antonio, 70 miles from the border. These camps have been set up by migrants brought to Uvalde by Border Patrol. Uvalde's mayor has called the situation a, quote, powder keg that is about to blow up. And he says his city is still being impacted by the overflow of migrants. Mayor Don McLaughlin is joining us now to talk more about the situation. What are you most worried about right now, Mr. Mayor?
Well, I mean, of course, when Title 42 goes away, the surge that we're going to see here along the border in communities like mine is going to be just unimaginable, the number of people that are coming over. Our biggest concern right now is that we're seeing still daily an impact now is the gotaways or the walkarounds. You know, there's not a day goes by that we don't have 1 to 3 chases or pursuits a day in our community and bailouts that we're still having to deal with every day. I mean, thankfully, the governor has sent more DPS troopers to our area again at that. But we had got that stopped for a while, but now we're almost back to where we were before, if not worse.
Let's spend a little time there. Talk to to me about what exactly you mean, and for folks at home, describe the danger in what's happening.
Well, okay, so our police department, or whether it be a DPS officer or a sheriff deputy, they're on patrol in town and that, and they see a car that is it's either speeding through town, or the license plate reader picks it up and the license plate reader says that tag doesn't match that car. So we try to initiate a stop to see what's going on. And most of the time they won't stop. They just speed off, and we end up with a pursuit through town. We've had the impact. I mean, we've had to stop pursuits in town because some of these people will go through our neighborhoods going 100 miles an hour. And that really concerns us for our citizens. But what happens when we finally get them to a point where they stop, they don't mind crashing through somebody's fence, into somebody's yard, and then everybody jumps out of the car and runs 10 different directions. And so then we have to pull every officer in the area, and we have to go try to round these individuals up, because some of these people in these cars are not good people. They've got, in this area, we've caught sex offenders, rapists, pedophiles, murderers, drug dealers, people that have been expelled from the United States before, but here they are again.
It's important to make the distinction, right, between the people who are the gotaways, who your police officers are chasing, and others who evade Border Patrol. The video that we've been seeing that you sent in, this is of migrants that are being dropped off by Border Patrol. So they came across the border illegally. They either turned themselves in or were caught. And then Border Patrol is releasing them into Uvalde, Texas. What happens to all these people once Border Patrol drops them off in Uvalde?
Well, here, as you'll see in that video there, Uvalde doesn't have the infrastructure to support these individuals. We don't have a transportation hub. We don't have housing. We don't have shelters for them to be in, or even places to feed them while they're here. And all of a sudden we get called that Border Patrol is going to be dropping off these migrants in our community. And when they first told us, they were going to go to the local convenience store and just open the door of the bus and let them out. And like I said, we don't have the facilities for these individuals.
Do they stay there, Mr. Mayor, or do they leave? Do they end up staying in your community?
No, they don't want to be in Uvalde, Texas. There's nothing here for them. The other thing that's we keep asking, we're releasing all these people into the United States of America. And every one of those people that you saw in that video has a piece of paper from the government that says they're allowed to be in the United States. But what they don't tell you, that piece of paper also says they don't have the right to get a job or to work or take care of themselves, because if they do, it says on there they will be deported immediately from the country. So, what are we doing with all these people?
I don't have the answer, and I know a lot of people pretend to right now, Mr. Mayor, but nobody can agree on what to do and how to get out of this, and it's about to get much worse for you and others. Uvalde Mayor Don McLaughlin, I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.